Hello students, welcome to Al Noor International School Virtual Learning. In this session we are going to learn Chapter 8, Lesson 3, the process of photosynthesis. Well, let's see the lesson objectives. After this lesson, you should be able to describe what happens during the light-dependent reactions. Second, you should be able to describe what happens during the light-independent reactions. Thirdly, you should be able to identify factors that affect the rate at which photosynthesis occurs. Students, you can find this lesson on your textbook page 235 to 241. Well, from the previous lesson, we have learned that photosynthesis involves two sets of reactions, the light-dependent reaction and the light-independent reaction. Now we will start with the light-dependent reaction. What happens during the light-dependent reactions? The light-dependent reactions use energy from sunlight to produce oxygen and convert ADP and NADP into the energy carrier ATP and NADPH. So the light-dependent reaction encompasses the steps of photosynthesis that directly involve sunlight. So the light-dependent reactions occur in the thylakoids of chloroplasts. So here is the thylakoid of the chloroplast. So here is the place where the light-dependent reaction takes place. So photosynthesis begins with the light-dependent reactions which occur in the thylakoid membrane. And here are some basic terms that you have to know while studying photosystems. What are photosystems? Photosystems are clusters of proteins and chlorophyll in thylakoid membranes. High energy electrons form when pigments in the photosystem to absorb light. The electrons pass through electron transport chains, a series of electron carrier proteins. So the movement of electrons through an electron transport chain causes a thylakoid to fill up with hydrogen ions and generates ATP and NADPH. So another very important terminology is the ATP synthase. So ATP synthase is a membrane protein through which excess hydrogen ions escape a thylakoid in a process that makes ATP. Well, now let's see the light-independent reactions. So what happens during the light-independent reactions? What happens during the light-independent reactions is that the ATP and the NADPH from the light-dependent reactions are used to produce high-energy sugars. The light-independent reaction is commonly referred to as the Calvin cycle. In this cycle, plants use the energy that ATP and NADPH contains to build stable high-energy carbohydrate compounds that can be stored for a long time. In the light-independent reactions, 6 carbon dioxide molecules from the atmosphere enter the Calvin cycle and combine with 5 carbon compounds already present. They produce 12 free carbon molecules. And 2 carbon molecules are removed from the cycle. They are used by the plant to build sugars, lipids, amino acids, and other compounds. The remaining 10 free carbon molecules are converted back to 5 carbon molecules and begin a new cycle. Well, now let's see the end results of the two reactions. So the two sets of photosynthetic reactions work together. The light-dependent reactions trap the energy of sunlight in chemical form And the light independent reactions use that chemical energy to produce stable high energy sugars from carbon dioxide and water. In the process, animals, including humans, get food and an atmosphere filled with oxygen. Factors affecting photosynthesis. Many factors influence the rate of photosynthesis. These factors include temperature, light intensity, and availability of water. Students, here are some video links that will help you understand the detail of the light dependent and the light independent reactions. You can find these links on your weekly plan too. After you watch these videos, you can try the section assessment questions that follow this slide. Section assessment 8.3. You can find these section assessment questions on your textbook page 241. Let's start from the first question. It says, summarize what happens during the light dependent reactions of photosynthesis. Can you try this? I hope you answered it. So the answer is, the light dependent reactions use energy from sunlight to produce oxygen and convert ADP and NADP+ into the energy carriers ATP and NADPH. Well then, now let us try another one. 1b. Put the events of the light dependent reactions in the order in which they occur and describe how each step is dependent on the step that comes before it. Try it. Well, the steps are the following. Step 1 and here is step 2, step 3, and the last step, step 4. Well then, now let's try another one. Question number 2a. What is the Kelvin cycle? I hope you are trying the answer. Well, the Kelvin cycle is another name for the light independent reactions in which ATP and NADPH from the light dependent reactions are used to produce high energy sugars. It's named for Melvin Kelvin, who worked on its details. Well, let's try another one. Compare and contrast. 2b. List at least 3 differences between the light dependent and light independent reactions of photosynthesis. This is a very important question. I hope you are trying it. Let's see the answer. Yes, the light dependent reactions require light and water, occur in the thylakoids, and produce ATP and NADPH. The light independent reactions require carbon dioxide and occur in the stroma and produce high energy sugars. Now we are going to the last question, 3a. Review what are the 3 primary factors that affect the rate of photosynthesis. Well then, so temperature, light intensity, availability of water are the 3 primary factors that affect the rate of photosynthesis. Now let's see 3b. So interpret graphs. Look at the graph on page 240. what are the independent and dependent variables being tested. So independent variables, light intensity; dependent variable, its rate of photo